Radar Update. My name is Daniel Vallis from InformedChristians.com, a website ministry devoted to discerning current events from a Christian perspective. This is a warning, but it is not a prediction. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. We have heard the calls for peace and safety, so we know sudden destruction is coming, and we see a day approaching as things get worse and worse. In our last video, we talked about the recent signals have really ramped it up, pushing toward this day that is approaching. We've also seen triggering financial panic, and it's not getting better since then. The same day as the Money Monster trailer, they also put out a big signal to sell everything, and we've seen it go downhill quickly from then as well. Today it hit the lowest since August 24th. Remember that famous Black Day not too long ago? It rose up a little bit since then, but things are steeply falling down. There has been a panic in the financial system. This is deliberate. We talked about the controlled demolition. This time it looks like they are bringing it down. On our timeline events, I added a quick line at the top just showing what the date would be on the Jewish calendar, because right now it's in the 11th Jewish month. So that's always interesting to keep in the back of our minds as we consider a lot of this timing, how it's coming together. But we see a lot of push for the 23rd when there's the full moon. And it seems like they're doing a lot of planning toward that for the next phase and the next objective. So what happened today? On the 15th, a trailer for the video game The Division came out. It's based on Tom Clancy's novel about the division. When society falls, we rise. A whole Phoenix concept, and we've seen that so much. Very suspicious that this comes out now. And of course it has the big name associated with it, Tom Clancy. And it's a video game. It's coming out on March 8th. And they even probably have the Phoenix in one of the main symbols for it. And throughout the game, it shows up very prominent, the Phoenix. But you quickly notice in the trailer that almost half of it takes place in Times Square. Is where this supposed terrorist attack with a weaponized virus took place. But half this trailer takes place at Times Square or right around it, you'll find out. And what big push have we seen lately with Times Square pointing to Times Square? We saw that just the other day with Money Monsters as well, because everything is keyed off of that. That is the D-Day. But then we see some more imagery that catches our eye. Well, it looks like Lady Gaga, and she's going to be having an announcement with Intel about new technology very soon, connected with black as well. You see the wording right there connected to that. But then off to the right, you'll see the Eye of Horus. This is a big tell. This is not just a trailer. They're letting you know there's symbolism in here, and Satan's disciples need to pay attention because there's messages in here that they need to see. So we're seeing a lot of activity related to Times Square, things really hitting the fan, so to speak, with pestilence and what comes with the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Pestilence is one of them. But then we also see tied with potentially Lady Gaga's announcement and some of what that may entail. I tried to do some enhancements on the text, and it's hard to say for sure if it says the legendary something or other, but it's almost not important because the main important thing is the symbolism, the Eye of Horus, which is the same as on the dollar bill. We've seen that so much kicked off since New Year's Eve at Times Square. We've seen it almost every single day now in major messaging. Tom Clancy's The Division. When society falls, we rise. That is their whole plan. That's the whole concept of Phoenix. They have a paperback edition of the book that you can get on Amazon, and you can see the clear link between the Phoenix, the Statue of Liberty, which is really Lucifer, the sun god, the Torch of Illumination. And it is interesting in the artwork, they do show the Twin Towers too as well. But the Phoenix and the Statue of Liberty, with also the message, prepare for the collapse. They're the ones triggering it, and they're warning Satan's disciples, you had better prepare for the collapse, and it's coming any day now. So that came out today. Very strong symbolism that should catch our attention, especially linked to the Times Square, the Eye of Horus, the Statue of Liberty, which we've seen so much of since the November 13th attacks in Paris. Remember, the same guy who designed the Eiffel Tower designed the internal framework for the Statue of Liberty. These two concepts are linked. But then the large push for Phoenix, which we've covered a lot as well. What else came out today? A movie trailer for a new movie by J.J. Abrams, which should catch your attention. This is nobody inconsequential. Star Wars just came out less than a month ago, and now J.J. Abrams is announcing the release of another film. The trailer came out today, and it caught many people by surprise, too, as well, the subject. It's called 10 Cloverfield Lane, and it's kind of a sequel to Cloverfield, a movie that he released back in 2008 in January on the 18th. Are you starting to see some connections? The Statue of Liberty again. J.J. Abrams. Well, what's it about? Here's a movie poster. Monsters come in many forms. And basically the concept seen in the trailer is about being in an underground shelter. And the film comes out March 11th, 2016. It's produced by Paramount. And just in the Money Monsters, we talked about the mountain and how it symbolizes ascending to the sides of the north. Just an interesting FYI, in 2011 is when they added the sun to this Paramount indent that they show at the beginning of movies. Before that, there was no sun. Very interesting that they are now showing the sun rising in connection with a lot of these other things. The entire trailer shows it taking place in a bunker underground. Supposedly there's been a nuclear war attack of some kind, but they're just living down there, the three of them, playing games, playing puzzles, and you quickly see them making a big push on puzzles. They seem to be showing it a lot, particularly this one called Catfish. And you'll notice the numbers 550, which they seem to push a lot or make sure that you notice a lot. But this is a real puzzle, and I think this helps us understand how to interpret some of the events in here, is we have to view it in a inverted sense. And that's used a lot in the occult anyway, where you invert and reverse things. So keep that in mind when you look at the trailer. But they definitely show the puzzle being worked on a lot. And that kind of goes in hand with the Black Knight Decoded. They put out puzzle pieces, so to speak, that are meant to be decoded by Satan's disciples. But they make sure that you can see that all of them are playing this puzzle. And this guy's shirt caught my attention because it has a full moon on it. And it's kind of hard to not notice as well. And what are we expecting pretty soon? A full moon with a lot of events seemingly tied to it. Very suspicious. So then they show the scene of them watching TV, but notice her magazine and how she's holding it. This is another occult Illuminati symbol, and this is a tell. She's holding it very deliberately to mirror the exact same symbol, so you know this is not an accident. This is a tell to let you know there are symbols. This is a parable. You need to pay attention. There is a message here. So another place in the trailer, we see this particular scene, and I've stated this before, that everything in major media productions is done on purpose. Everything. If your eye can catch it and see it, it was probably put there for a reason. So when we see on the counter, Tom Clancy, the biggest book in this entire trailer, so you can definitely see it, Tom Clancy. And what trailer came out just today? The Division by Tom Clancy. The book on the shelf is itself called Threat Vector, and it's really more of a political thriller than anything. But this is to primarily show you that the symbolism in this is also linked to the game and vice versa. And the second book that you can easily read is called Terminal. And it's about a hospital that can supposedly cure cancer, which we've seen a lot of in the news. But you find out that it's because they have the antibody because they created the cancer. So a very interesting plot line for that too as well, which ties in to Tom Clancy's The Division, with a weaponized virus as well in that. Very suspicious how these two are tied together. But then more emphasis on the puzzle and the 550, and they're sitting around, and you hear a big rumble, and you notice her shirt as well. It has the Eiffel Tower on it, in red and blue. And it appears it says in French, basically, Paris, I love you. When you watch the entire trailer with different snippets, you can kind of piece it together. Paris, I love you. So it's has a big Eiffel Tower with red and blue on it, and we'll see some better pictures here in a second. But they hear a massive rumbling, and so they all stand up. Something's coming. But this entire trailer takes place underground in this shelter, which is itself a message to prepare, to take shelter. And we saw that on the Economist cover, the concept of shelter. But now you can see her shirt in full, And it's got the red and blue in a pyramid form. And she's standing right in front of a picture of the Eiffel Tower as well. This is very deliberate because they want you to see the Eiffel Tower and then tie together with the color combinations. Now, this film was filmed and produced before the November 13th events, so this should raise some eyebrows. But we'll notice there's a lot more symbolism here too. When we notice the Paris, the Eiffel, the red and blue, the next person is the moon, the full moon, and then to the far right, you see a chessboard, which references the Black Knight that we've seen so much of, because all these apparently are connected. The Eiffel events, the Paris events, the full moon, and the Black Knight. But then they frame this other shot with her standing dead center to make sure you can absolutely see it and notice it, and you can even see again the pyramid shape. It's all deliberate. And again, the Eiffel Tower, red, blue, full moon, which references the Pepsi with the red and blue big push that we've seen in the Black Knight Decoded as well, which reminds us of the big red-blue push that they had with the Paris events and the illuminated pyramid at the Louvre. But since New Year's Eve, the big push we've seen of illuminated pyramids and the Eye of Horus, all tying together. Now, one way we know that his shirt is a deliberate push of the full moon is when we see that he almost never changes it. The trailer starts out with these two next to each other. So she's wearing a purple shirt, but he's wearing his blue shirt. Then later on they're watching TV. He's still wearing his blue shirt. Later she's wearing her black shirt. He's still wearing his blue shirt. Later she's wearing a tank top. He's still wearing his blue shirt. They want you to notice the full moon and notice that he's not changing the shirt. It's to draw attention to it. And we see so much keyed off of Times Square and pointing toward the next full moon, which is in less than 1 week. So much coming together. And even with the Eiffel Tower, in this short trailer, they show 4 different variations of the Eiffel Tower to really drive it home. Are you paying attention to Eiffel, the tower, the torch, the obelisk? They got 2 paintings, 1 t-shirt, and a photograph looking up at it. This is a message. This is purely message. And again, it all takes place down in a bunker. You might even say with the framing of this that this is a pyramidal perspective shot too with illumination at the top, but that's hard to say definitively. But it all takes place underground, and a key story, at least in the trailer, is that she's trying to escape. And that's another thing we've seen recently as well, the idea of escaping from what's coming. She's trying to get out, but the door is locked. Now, that's a concept we hear of with the parable of the 10 virgins too as well. And again, just like the puzzle, there's a lot that they want you to invert and see here. So you need to see it as the people outside of the bunker, which is the general populace right now, they are the ones who need to take shelter. Those are the ones who need to escape, not the people in the bunkers. It's a message to prepare to take shelter and to escape. The calls for peace and safety have already gone out. That means sudden destruction is coming, and they know that more than most Christians do, because they're the ones who are going to be bringing the sudden destruction too, but it is changing how they live. So the same day that Tom Clancy's Division game trailer came out, they put out the Cloverfield trailer, which is basically the sequel of the first one. So tying it as well to the Statue of Liberty, the Black Knight Decoded, the Paris events. These 2 messages on the exact same day are strongly linked together. The one strongly points toward the full moon and the Black Knight. The other one strongly points back to Times Square as a reference point, but then also includes the Eye of Horus so that you know they're linked in with the Phoenix and all that. So they're cross-linked to both markers, meaning they're all part of the next phase and objective, which seems to be around the 23rd. Now, when we consider that this is the 11th month and the celestial clock is pointing to the 11th month, and you could say we are in the 11th hour right now, it is interesting that 11:11 is very close to the events that they're laying out. And a lot of people have remarked about seeing 11:11. But even going back to D-Day, they made a big push that this year was the 111th year that they've done the Times Square events. Even they are drawing attention to the number 11, which is chaos. Even in the Bible, that's what it shows, chaos. 111 is just the intensification of it. And that's what's coming, chaos and destruction and all that. We don't know the day or hour. Neither does Satan, neither do the angels in heaven. But the Bible does say you will see a day approaching. And we could see a day, apparently, we don't know for sure, but it looks like things are converging real quick. We talked before about the D- days, before the New Year's Eve, of how they launched different operations at specific times and had different objectives. And things have been kicking off, getting ready for the D-Day. Then when they got there, there was a definite change in how they operated. But now we're seeing the D-plus operations. Once they arrived at the major marker, then there's going to still be following phases and following objectives as well. So we saw the 12th, which would basically be D+13 in planning purposes. Operation Cell was kicked off when they put out the big money warning. And things have been going downhill real quick from there. Now, it is interesting to note that on the 18th, at least here in America, is a federal holiday, Martin Luther King Day. So the markets here won't open till the 19th. So you're probably going to see extra turmoil on Monday and extra bad news that will catch up on Tuesday. So just keep that in mind too as well. So D+13 was Operation Cell. And then today looked like it was Operation Take Shelter, where they're putting out two strong messages: prepare, take shelter. And then apparently they have another one not too far in the future that they're aiming toward as well. I don't know what's going to happen, but the Bible does say you will see the day approaching, which does fully imply that between now, right now, and then is completely fair game for when Christ comes and when he is revealed. And the Bible gives us the mentality and lifestyle that people will be having. They'll be living as their life goes on. They'll be hearing some bad news in the economy, but nothing bad has really hit the fan yet. So it should extra catch our attention when we see them making deliberate, controlled demolition moves to bring down one of these and disrupt one of those, but then also giving out warnings to their disciples that the partying aspect and the eating and drinking as their life goes on, that is about to change as well. Time is very short. Have you changed your schedule? Are you doing things differently? Or are you assuming and going on as though life goes on? Time is running out. This is the moment that Scripture has warned us about and has told the prophets for hundreds of years to look forward to. A lot is coming together. We have heard the calls for peace and safety. So we know that sudden destruction is coming, and we can see that we're already taking on water, and we can see that they are already working on sinking the ship deliberately. It's going down, folks. Sudden destruction has already started. We're taking on water. Most people don't realize it yet, but it's going to accelerate. Are you ready? Are you working to prepare your heart and life where you are ready when Christ returns? Serve Christ first and highest above all else. Maranatha.